Your dopamine is killing you. And I want to show you in this video how I reprogrammed my dopamine and leveraged it to crave hard work. Your dopamine has a set floor of what it needs to get a stimulus. Basically, that floor right now with your endless scrolling on social media is super high. With a high dopamine floor, it means that your dopamine needs a very interesting event to get a stimulus. Say, for example, I'm sitting in a completely blank room, but then in front of me I have a research paper. I can either choose to stare at the walls of the blank room, but most likely I'll read the research paper because that's more interesting at the time. The same concept applies to your dopamine. If your everyday activities start becoming more boring than the work that you're supposed to do, your dopamine's going to start craving the hard work that you are supposed to do. I'm going to share with you 3 habits you can start doing to reprogram your dopamine so you can stop procrastinating and get your work done. The first thing I want you to do is take boring breaks. When you're doing your homework and you take a break by scrolling on social media, that scrolling gives you a higher stimulus than your homework does. Taking a boring break would mean that your homework is now a higher stimulus in dopamine than whatever else you could be doing. And because that's a higher stimulus, your brain's going to want to do your homework more. Boring breaks are different for everyone. Some people like to take walks, other people like to do regular old workouts on their bedroom floor. For me, though, I would rather go on a walk or do a workout than do my homework. Therefore, the only really thing I can do for my dopamine break would be to literally stare at a blank wall. If I need a break, I'll stare at the wall for about 5 minutes. By then, that gives my brain enough time to realize that it wants to start doing the work again. The second thing that I want you to do is inhabit whatever you do in between certain actions. Say you show up early to class. The first thing that you do is open your phone and start scrolling on social media. I want you to get rid of that habit and realize that's not normal. It's okay to sit in boredom, and sitting in boredom is going to get your brain into a zone where it can start absorbing material much easier. When your brain is in that zone, you'll find it's much easier to focus and you'll retain the material a lot easier. The third and final thing I want you to do is quit multitasking. Your dopamine likes to multitask because that doesn't let it settle and it gives it stimulus compared to social media where there are events very quickly right after one another. If you worry too much about multitasking, you'll take your brain out of getting into the zone that we talked about in point 2. You want your brain to be able to focus at one thing at a time to give full effort into that one thing, and you'll find that's actually much more efficient than trying to multitask. You'll find that you'll also retain information better by doing this because now your brain is resorting to understanding as opposed to just getting something done. If you're tired of trying to cram in all your work the day before it's due, I want you to try these 3 habits and realize that it'll change your life. It'll be hard for the first week or two, but you'll realize you'll be so thankful that you started trying to reprogram your brain.